Okie dokie. So the last person that I would like to talk about is my dad. My dad, and I have had a little bit of a rocky, well, not a little bit, a rocky relationship. But in the past couple of months, we've kind of really are trying to hit a new level. And Dad, I appreciate you and I love you. So thank you for that. These photos of my dad were taken when I went to his apartment and was interviewing him for a series that I'm currently working on. It's basically an extension of More Than a Cat, but analyzing, my relationship with different people. And also it's just reflecting on the past 2 years of my life. A lot has changed. Oh my God, a lot has changed. But the meaning of me wanting to photograph him was really all about me trying to get closer to him and trying to become more familiar with our similarities and differences. I hope to photograph him again. I know I will. But yeah, so more work in the making. Okay, so with all of this stuff in mind about, my connection to photography and what it means to me, and how I implement it, I saw something so inspiring, and oh my gosh, I can't really put into words how deep this connection was for me. On Netflix, there is a series called Abstract. Check it out. If you're a graphic designer, if you are a if you're a car person, if you're a shoe person, it has everything in that you could possibly want. And the photography episode was of Platon. And it's so mind-blowing because for me, I have learning disabilities, I have dyslexia, and I have an auditory processing issue, which just basically means that if I'm learning something new, you have to show me how to do it, not tell me how to do it. And very early in this short documentary kind of piece of Platon, he describes that he has severe dyslexia. And that was the first, thing that caught my attention. I was like, wow, here is, an example of someone who struggles in a similar way that I do. And, I was just hooked, and I just fell in love with the episode. But to keep going forward, for myself, learning about how his learning disability and learning how to draw through his father, I think those two things really, really, really shaped his imagery. And he describes it so well himself. There's a section where he's talking about, it in particular drawing. He learned through his father that, if it's meaningful, put it there. If it's not necessary, leave it out. And his work is very much simple. It's straightforward. It's in your face, but it's still captivating. It's still emotional. It's still inviting. And a lot of people describe, this feeling that I felt as well looking at his work is through the eyes. And I definitely agree with that. Whether it be, through a color photo, through a black and white photo, it just has excellence written all over it, and it stands through wonderfully. It really, really does. And just hearing his story made me feel hopeful that, someone like me can go through struggle and still conquer their dreams or conquer, their aspirations. And for me, I feel like street photography is my biggest aspiration, and learning how to, I feel like I'm on an intermediate level when it comes to portraits. But I want to be expert at portraits, and I feel like I'm at a beginner level at street photography for sure. But I want to master it. I want to master street photography, and I want to master portraits. Just seeing this story about him just made me so hopeful that can happen. So I'm putting it out in the universe. We'll see what happens. But yeah, thinking of all of that, like, I would like to end on talking about why I personally think street photography is the ballsiest kind of photography out there. For me, at least. For me, street photography and photography, like the act of photography itself, both represent to me the moment, which I know is so cliche, but it's so important. Like, I guess, like, my definition of the moment is, on the surface level, it's like, like I was talking about before, like preservation of honesty and time and space. But it also represents something that can never come back. And just like memories, like I don't know, like a photo will never change, but your memories do. And that to me is really important, and something that is just difficult. But yeah. Thus, with that in mind, it should be cherished. Every photo, every moment, every disruption in the space-time continuum should be cherished. And I mention, disruption, and at times it can be like, in my opinion, an invasion or an enlightenment or whatnot. But, like, how beautiful is it to think that, or perhaps believe that no one will see how you see things. No one will associate things how you associate things with your art. And to know that, to think and believe and know that you are you and this is an extension of you is so powerful to me. And that's why I'm very sensitive with my art, and I hold everything very dearly and closely to me. But yeah. And the other thing too is that, like, I also would like to end on the fact that, not every moment is going to be perfect. Not every moment you're going to be able to capture. It might be blurry, it might be too grainy, it might be too this, it might be too that. But I really try hard, and I think with myself, I'm most forgiving with my mistakes in art. Because I try to look, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, I try to look back or take a step back rather, and just, try to think of how can this work. And it's funny because when I was teaching in the Bronx, I was teaching art to 4th and 5th graders, or excuse me, yeah, 3rd and 4th graders, yeah. I would always tell them, make something out of your mistakes. And I really try to practice what I preach because, with for example, the size of the text in More Than a Cat was not intentional. It was a mistake. But I think looking at it now, and even I think in the moment when I was editing it, like, it represented to me a sort of kind of like a larger realization of what I was saying, and or if it was more emotionally heavy. So happy mistakes happen. Use them. Alright, you guys, I hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit about more of myself and what I do and what my art is about. Subscribe, like. Hit me a comment if you have any questions, if you want some more details. Next week is going to be totally different, so stay tuned for that. And this again has been Danielle Faulkner for Bouquet. Hope you guys have a wonderful week.